And there was no data to support it, none whatsoever, but it was going to happen. $240 million. And so, weary with other members of the scientific community, forged a collaborative link and are now engaged in a study to determine whether, in fact, we actually need to adopt the Gwadi ruling, or whether it should be modified for our particular karst limestone aquifer setting. The study's been going on for nearly 2 years, and there's no evidence yet to support the need for that ruling. So there's a case in point, where we're actually checking the science behind policy and regulations that come down the line. There are existing regulations on the book, and of course these usually fall in EPA's court by virtue of the fact that they are the regulatory agency. There are rules on the book at the moment that are questionable. The science is, for want of a better word, ill-founded science, primarily because at the time we didn't know any better, and those rules and regulations still exist. They need reviewing, and WERI takes a proactive role in pointing out needs where those sort of changes need to be addressed. The flasher is still flashing. Okay, so I'm going to wind that up, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later on if you want.
Okay, thank you, Gary. One more question that to maybe look at a kind of a broader frame here. We talk about mitigation as a way of dealing with or addressing environmental impacts. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes maybe avoiding or not creating an impact is required. But are the mitigative measures that we have sort of in our repertoire for Guam coming up, are they going to be effective, do you think, or merely reactive? And then also, maybe we should look at bigger issues too. I mean, we talk about the military buildup and then just our sort of normal community impacts unrelated to the buildup. What about climate change and issues like that that are huge issues, much too big for the panel? I'd like to hear John in particular talk to this at length, but we're already seeing the effects, I think, arguably. And can we use our environmental policies and our environmental partnerships to address some of these larger frames of problems too? Tony?
Throw it at me first. Yeah, there you go.
God, that's a tough one. I just got back from Charleston a couple of weeks ago, and one of the major topics of discussion was, amazingly enough, alternative power, and what various jurisdictions are doing in exploring windmills and other alternatives using ocean current and so forth. And of course, in the height of that discussion was global warming, because with the rising water in our area, and specifically within the Micronesian area, because you've got islands that are already at sea level, and any kind of surge would obviously put them underwater. So these are things that we need to effectively look at. Insofar as policies, and I think, personally I think, it's hard to stop Mother Nature. I mean, once the global warming process begins, I think what we need to do then is to work on effective legislation that protects the existing resources. Because the reality is we're already too late, I think, at this point in time to stop the process of global warming. What we need now to do is we need to work on non-source pollution and other areas that affect our resources within our land areas, so that we don't have pollutants going into our water resources, as Dr. Biggs has stated. We need to create good policy that protects our resources, because we already understand the damage that the global warming will do to our resource. So it's a real difficult thing, because even among scientists, I talk to various scientists about global warming, and they even have conflicting views on global warming. So it's still a science that's still being developed. But I think what we should do, while that science is being developed, we need to protect the resource that is not threatened by global warming. We need to protect that resource, and that's where we good practices in as far as construction, erosion control, polluting our aquifer, and even erosion control is big. I mean, we work very closely with Public Works in the development of the 2030 plan to ensure that as they grade property and lay asphalt, that we don't get that erosion into our waters. So these are the things I think policy-wise we need to look at.
Thank you, Tony.
Like Tony said, that you do have some people say, global warming is just a myth, but if you just drive down south, you can just already see some of the beaches are not longer there anymore. We have seawalls trying to protect the water from the ocean from rising in further into our roads already. And we can't put our roads further in because now we got a cliff or we got private property. And so just driving down south, you can already see climate change, what's been happening with the other islands, the other smaller islands in the South Pacific. They're losing their properties to the ocean. And in Guam, we're already doing that. My family has a property way down somewhere in Mauricio. We used to swim there when we were little on the beach side. We had a beach, and now there's the road, the water, the waves just go right into the sand. The road already. Our beach is gone. So we're not one of those down south that have say, oh, that's so and so's beach. Our beach is gone already. It's part of the ocean. And so climate change, what's happening here is it's already here. What we can do is all the little things we can do. Recycled, be more energy efficient at home, because if we all do make a difference, we just add it all together, we can slow the process down of the way Mother Earth is being affected. And just to let you know that Guam EPA with Guam Energy Office has a lot of ARA money that has been given by Department of Energy, and this is going to help now some of the government agencies be more energy efficient. We're going to retrofit their buildings, put some solar street lights on the parks and the villages of the parks, put LED lights on the street lights throughout our highway. Navy's doing a great thing down there. They got a lot of money, and they're doing a lot of studies already. They're doing a lot of ways to reduce their power consumption, reduce greenhouse emissions. And so now that government of Guam has got some money from great President Obama, we're going to do the same thing of what we can. Oh, I got flashed. Okay, move on. Here, Jason, your turn.
Thanks, sir. That's that flasher. Gotta watch it.
Don't flash me, okay? I don't like it when people flash me. I'm going to try and tackle the mitigation question as best I can. This isn't going to be a scientific answer, even though I'm a scientist, so you're going to have to excuse my own personal views on this one. Mitigation, in a sense, that what John was actually asking is kind of a funny thing. It's basically this. If you take the example of the Upper Harbor dredging project, mitigation in that sense means that, well, they're going to dredge Upper Harbor to about 100 feet, and that's going to remove a lot of ecosystems, or some ecosystems, from that area. And those are going to come back. So mitigation in that sense is an ecological footprint mitigation, where you actually